Alright, this video is all about what a major scale should sound like. Because the sound of things in music is more important than what it looks like or what it feels like. So before we get into the meat of it, we have to define a couple things first. A major scale. A scale is just a collection of notes. Typically, scales introduced early on in music education are 7 notes. The word major is a label that we have to attach to differentiate a scale from other kinds of scales. Major is just one kind of scale. If we were to look at the notes of a major scale, starting on the lowest note, we're going to take C for example. We start on C, and we were to go up the C scale, we would have a whole step, followed by another whole step, then a half step, then a whole step, then another whole step, then a whole step, and then a half step. And that gets us up to the next C. Now, a whole step is 2 half steps. A whole is 2 halves. A half step is the smallest interval that we have in music, or in Western music at least. So that collection of whole steps and half steps gives the major scale its unique sound. And that's why, starting on different notes, if we were to start on B flat, let's say, instead of C, we need a completely different set of notes in order to make it a major scale. If we were to start on B flat, we need another flat. We can't just have an E natural. Likewise, since most students are introduced to the B flat scale first, we can't just have B flat and E flat in every scale. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a major scale. So this is why it is important to take into account all the flats and sharps of a scale. Of course, I'm talking in concert pitch. Usually my flute students have the most trouble with this because they are introduced to B flat and E flat early on without any discussion as to what a flat actually is. A lot of them even just call B flat B, and that's just not the truth. A B flat is a B flat, and a B is a different note entirely, even though they're both called B something, B natural or B flat. So oftentimes when a new scale is introduced that does not have either B flat or E flat in it, they'll just play B flat and E flat, starting on whatever new note they're doing. Say they're doing the F scale, they'll just toss in the E flat, even though it's not part of that scale, without thinking about it, and just assume that it has to be the same 7 notes. So learning what the scale sounds like first, I think, is the best way to recognizing whether or not you're playing the notes correctly or incorrectly. Every scale, every major scale, has a different collection of notes. That is important. I have included in the description below just the list of scales, starting going through the cycle of fourths, transposed for each instrument so that you can play along. The rest of this video is just going to be playing through those scales slowly. And if you can't play through them all, you don't have to. I do want you to listen to them though. Listen to see that they all sound the same, just starting on different notes. They're higher or lower, but it's the same collection of intervals. It's the same general sound. And so when you go practice a scale that you already know well, you know, if you know it already and you're getting it accurately every time, then that's good. But when you go learn a new scale, make sure you're being picky about the notes that are different from the scales that you already know, because that's going to affect how the scale sounds. Okay, without further ado, uh, all of the major scales, starting on concert C, going through the circle of fourths. Play along if you can. Listen whether or not you can play along, because it's all about the sound. Here we go. I'm going to try to do this in one take. It's been a while since I've just one and then the next and then the next. I hope I can do it. Let's see. 1, 2, ready. Alright, I hope if you listened carefully, um, that you can hear whether or not what you are playing is indeed a major scale. It's probably a scale, but if you're just starting off and you're working on scales for the first time and your teacher is telling you to play some sort of major scale, that's what it has to sound like. So, go practice one scale that you know well, making sure that you're playing the right notes, and also making sure that you're listening, and when you go to the next scale that you're trying to learn, that it sounds the same, that it has the same collection of intervals, that it does not have all the same notes, because no two major scales have the exact same notes. I hope this was helpful. I'm definitely going to make sure my students who are struggling with making sure they're playing the right notes for each scale watch this and listen to it, because it is all about what the scale sounds like. I can't make that clear enough. It's all about what it sounds like. Different scales have different sounds. Yeah, that's it for today. Maybe another scale next time, because there are many different kinds of scales. It's like different colors to paint with. I might be a little bit obsessed with scales, but it's okay to be a little bit obsessed with scales, because music is made of scales. Yeah, I think that's it for today. If you got something out of this, please subscribe to the channel and like this video and play along with it a couple times, especially if you think you know all of your major scales. It's a challenge to just play through them all if you think you know them all, because it's I don't know, it's difficult sometimes. Have a nice day, guys.